Good morning, Washington. This is our weekly video update on the status of 1639 and its implementation. A few good things to report, a few ugly things to report. And yesterday, the Department of Licensing held a hearing. Today, they'll be approving their rules change that will allow the Department of Licensing to collect an $18 fee per semi-automatic rifle purchase. If the purchase is denied, the fee will not be collected, but any approved purchase will be required to pay an $18 tax on each rifle. It's not on each transaction, but on each rifle. Department of Licensing also indicated that the state legislature had provided them with $7 million in the last session to come up with a new computer system, and which is good because the existing computer system is atrocious. It locks up, it freezes, it won't print half the time. It's an absolutely atrocious system. Only allows you to do one item at a time and then have to go back through and re-enter all the data. Absolutely terrible system, unstable. In fact, one of the system developers of the program came into our store and told us about it because he had worked on that particular software years ago. So they indicate that the new system may be up and operational by 2020. So in the meantime, we have to send approximately 6 to 8 pages off to the different law enforcement agencies and the Department of Licensing for each rifle purchased. So we have to mail them to Olympia. Can't print them front and back. You have to leave them unstapled, untaped. So they all have to be loose forms mailed to them so that they can stack them in a box and get to them eventually because they don't have the staffing to accommodate all of the implementation requirements of 1639. So real mess there. 1639 compliance classes. The market is starting to adapt to this. We're seeing more and more shops across the state offering certification training. We've seen prices anywhere from $25 upwards of $150 for classes. As I said before in a previous video, we are going to release a online training class. It will be the bare minimum requirements as required by the statute. It will be provided on our website for free to anybody in Washington, give you that certificate of compliance that you've taken the training. It'll happen automatically. It will be free. If I can't say this enough times, it will be free. We believe this is a huge impairment on the citizens of Washington's rights to purchase and possess firearms. So we feel duty bound to offer this to everybody for free. We'll have a significant development cost and implementation cost from our web hosting and designer to make that happen, but we feel that is the absolute right thing to do for the citizens of Washington. So we will make an announcement on that, and if we do not get our court injunction in place prior to July 1st, then that will go live. But we're not going to push it live and complete the development of it if we're just going to get a stay of execution. So that will be coming. Follow us, stay tuned. But like I said, we're going to do this for the citizens of Washington, doing the right thing. Not trying to profiteer from this. In fact, it's costing us money to do it. But again, sometimes it costs money to do the right thing, and this is one of those times. The scariest part of what we've got to deal with right now is the NICS changes effective July 1st. And these aren't reflective of 1639 per se, but they are reflective of our state legislature's lack of leadership on firearms issues. They spend so much time trying to ban and restrict legal, law-abiding citizens that they've forgotten their duty to maintain a smooth and consistent process for us. Again, that's certainly by choice. They understand they can make it more inconvenient to purchase a firearm, then all the better for them. It'll discourage some people from purchasing firearms. That's an abhorrent line of thought, given that the people they are concerned about are the criminals, the criminal activity. They aren't concerned about grandpa wanting to buy a new shotgun or your sister moving out on her own and wanting to get something to defend her home with. This is just all about reducing the number of arms and reducing citizens who use firearms in the state of Washington. So the next change means that we're going to send all of our handgun, rifle applications for approval off to local law enforcement for approval. We're starting to see letters coming back from King County Sheriff's Office and other agencies that they're going to put automatic 30-day holds on some of these transactions, which means that your 4473 that you signed while in store will expire prior to them issuing a notice to proceed, that we can release the firearm to the individual. That means we have to start the process over again. So it ends up in this endless cycle of fill out the 4473, send in the application for approval, wait for the approval for 30 days. It then expires at 30 days. We cannot release it under federal law. We have to start the process over again. And so you get into this endless cycle where you cannot deliver a firearm to people, with some agencies deciding not to follow the law. And of course, they're immune. That was part of 1639, so you can't sue them if they don't get you approved. So pretty ugly little circle that they've got there. The other part is we won't be doing background checks in-house on lowers, frames, and others. So your Mossberg Shockwave firearm, that's considered an other. It's not a shotgun, it's not a rifle, it's not a short barrel shotgun. It's considered a firearm by ATF. So that has to go to local law enforcement for approval. An AR lower receiver, the flats for an AK-47 type of rifle. Those are considered others, or frames. Those have to be sent off for approval. The problem there is there's no documentation for us to send for that approval. The Department of Licensing wasn't required to develop a transfer application which covered these other items. They have one that covers pistols and now semi-automatic rifles combined on the same two-page form, but they do not have anything which covers frames, miscellaneous type of firearm items. So we have no mechanism to send those to local law enforcement for approval. If you've been following what we've been doing with our Air Precision 2-for deal since November, we've sold an awful lot of lowers. Approximately 4,800 so far, with our goal was 6,000 by July 1st. And we have to send all of those to local law enforcement for approval. Tremendous number of background checks that we need to send have been or would be sending to them. And we have no mechanism to do that. That is going to be a huge problem. And right now, there's absolutely no leadership anywhere within the state on addressing this. Local law enforcement doesn't have anything on it. We've asked. The Department of Licensing, I wrote them a letter and specifically asked for an answer on that. And they said that's outside of their scope. They're not required to do that, so they are not. The state legislature provided no leadership in the last legislative session on getting this resolved. So again, this is going to force us down a legal path to seek an injunction and get this part of it shut down as well, so that we can continue to deliver those items to permitted persons. And so, big push on that stuff. If you can help support the fight, please donate to the Second Amendment Foundation. We are getting deep into the lawsuit now. The discovery requests are going in, so lots of data will start coming back from the parties involved in the lawsuit. We get to request all of the data from Alliance for Gun Responsibility. We get to request it from state legislators. We get to request it from the Attorney General's office. There's an awful lot of data coming, and that's going to take an awful lot of expense to go through all that stuff. So, Second Amendment Foundation, the 1639 legal fight. We have our GoFundMe account for the 1639 Legal Defense Fund. All of that money is going to the Second Amendment Foundation. We've already given them $10,000. We're about to provide them another check for $10,000. So please vote with your feet, vote with your wallets, send emails to your legislators, send emails to your local reps, and stay involved. We can persevere in this, but we have all got to pull together right now. No more infighting. We need some organization. We need some leadership, and we need to stay on task. They are coming again for us in the next session. There is no question about it. Watch for huge changes to concealed carry permitting in the state of Washington, both costs, training requirements, so on and so forth. There's a lot of stuff coming at us again, but we've got to shut this one down right here, right now. So please do what you can. Reach out to your legislators while they're out of session, while they're back in their home districts. Take friends to the range, introduce them to the shooting sports. Be responsible, be safe with your firearms.